everyone. This is your reading lesson for Tuesday, April 7th. I miss you guys. I hope everyone's doing well. I keep thinking of you and hoping you're trying to keep up the best you can with your assignments. So let's just go ahead and get started. Yesterday, I read The Signmaker's Assistant to you. Remember, the genre is humorous fiction, my favorite. And you should have completed one of the vocabulary sheets. I don't care which one you chose, but you need to at least have completed one of those. Today, your assignment is just to complete the second one, so shouldn't be too big a deal. Same thing you did yesterday. If you need to hear the story again or would like to hear the story again, go ahead and go back to yesterday, Monday, April 6th, and you can listen to the story. You can start it and stop it whenever you need. If you need to take a break or switch pages, or just do whatever you need to do, go ahead and do that. You can listen to it over again. And I'm just gonna kind of talk about a few things today as we go through the story. Day 2 is usually when we dig a little bit deeper, see if we understand exactly what was going on in the story. I think the vocabulary is pretty self-explanatory. If you need to hear it again, you can go back to yesterday, Monday, April 6th. I went over the vocabulary from the book, as well as reading the story. So let me just kind of talk you through the story a little bit. When we opened up, it was talking about a sign maker's assistant, which is a guy who helps the sign maker. The sign maker is getting old, and Norman, his assistant, is hoping one day to take over the shop. So I guess the first thing we need to know is, how do the people in the town feel about the sign maker? Not Norman. Norman is the assistant. How do people feel about the sign maker? Do they think he's a good guy? Do they think he doesn't do very good work? What do you think? I think for the most part, people like him. He's dependable. He does what he needs to do, and he paints nice signs, and the town gets along pretty well. And then along comes Norman. And if you're following along in your book, let's see if we can go ahead and, if you turn to page, I'll go ahead and turn to page 131. There's Norman. If you look up at the top there, the boy that is looking out the window is actually Norman. And he is the sign maker's assistant. His hope is to one day own the sign maker shop when he's old enough to retire. And then Norman, who has been learning from the sign maker for a long time, will take over his shop. That's what Norman hopes to do. If you look at that page again, do you remember what it says? Norman's looking out that window, wondering what all the people down there are thinking, okay? And he's noticing something about them as he looks out the window. Do you remember what he's noticing? Yeah, he's noticing that whatever the signs say to do, he's doing them. And I think we all do that. When I drive to work and I see a stop sign, I'm gonna stop, right? If I see if the railroad tracks are closed, like sometimes they are for me, I have to take a detour and go around the tracks so we can finally get to school. We see gas stations, we see Burger King, we see signs that make us think of pet stores. So signs are important to us. We can't just drive around town wondering where a pet store is if we don't know. If there are signs, we can find them much more easily. Okay, and then so Norman has this brilliant idea. The sign maker has to go out of town to make a sign for a neighboring community. And so he leaves Norman in charge. And Norman, remember looking out that window, noticing that people do whatever the signs say, decides to have a little fun. That's why the genre is humorous fiction. He decides to paint some absolutely ridiculous signs, okay? Like the sign that said, "No school today. School's closed." And the teachers and the principals show up going, oh, I don't really remember that the school is closed. So that's his first sign. And his second one, he said he's always wanted to go swimming in the fountain. So he made a sign saying that the fountain was open for swimming, even though he knew it wasn't right. That's what he decided to do. Then he made crazy signs like, the bank is closed, so you have to deposit your money in a garbage can. Really, who in their right mind would put their money in a garbage can? Not me. And there's another sign that says, eat your hat. Humorous fiction. It's ridiculous, right? But yet it shows a picture of two hats, and it looks like somebody has taken a bite out of them. Would that really happen? Do you think somebody would really do that? I don't think so. That's entertainment. The author's purpose is to entertain us. And the other sign he wrote was, at the toy shop, he put a sign that said, buy Norman a present, and people actually did it. Sometimes we probably wish it were that easy, don't we? But that would never happen. It just wouldn't. He also did the ants crossing, so the big delivery truck had to stop and wait for the ants to cross. And he also put, near the supermarket, which is a store like Meijer, he put a sign that said garbage dump. So then for some crazy reason, the garbage truck drivers were dumping all the garbage in front of the store. Humorous fiction. It would never happen. Finally, the townspeople realized that something's not right. So they truly believe that it's the sign maker. So when the sign maker comes back into town, he has no idea that any of this happened. But all of a sudden he's back in town, and the townspeople are chasing him and yelling at him and screaming at him. And he's trying to figure out what is going on. And the signs are taken down. They take down every single sign. Well, what kind of trouble do you get when you take down all the stop signs and the yield signs and the railroad crossing signs? Town becomes a disaster, right? Because now nobody is stopping anywhere. The firefighters, they don't know where to go. And so the sign maker returns, and townspeople are angry. And it's up to Norman to explain to the sign maker what really happened. Now, Norman was pretty sure that the sign maker would fire him, because what he did was not respectful. He lied, he cheated, he had a lot of trouble that was caused in town that didn't have to be caused. So he made that big banner that said, you know, he was sorry. It wasn't the sign maker who caused the trouble, it was him. And he basically packed his bags to leave. Now, what would you do in that case? Think about it. I mean, it caused a lot of trouble. But the sign maker decided that he wasn't going to get rid of Norman. He decided that, you know what? People make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and he truly believed that Norman was sorry for what he did and that he learned his lesson. So he talked to the townspeople and told the townspeople that he truly believed that Norman could do the job the right way and that he'd learned his lesson. And that's pretty much how the story ends. Except the one part that I want to talk about real quick is, it says in there that the townspeople blame themselves. Do you know why they blame themselves? What would they blame themselves for? Well, let's think about it. If somebody took down all the signs in Northwood and all the stop signs and the yield signs, and people just did whatever they wanted to, do you think they might think about, shouldn't there be a stop sign there? And they would stop anyway. So the townspeople decided, you know what? Somebody put up a sign that said, eat my hat. I'm not going to listen to it because I'm smarter than that. I'm going to know that maybe somebody's playing a joke. So they did blame themselves towards the end, and they ended up forgiving Norman, and Norman got to stay with the sign maker. But he had to clean the brushes first. So that's just a review of the story. Like I said, if you need to reread it, go ahead, go back to Monday, April 6th lesson, and you can hear me read it again. So complete your vocabulary. That's the reading assignment for today. And then your spelling. Remember, we're working with words that say A-R, R, if you remember the phonics stance. You did the first page yesterday. Today, the page looks like this, 1 through 6. You're going to just write the spelling word that goes with each picture. Here's a list of your words. And then 7 through 14, it gives you a clue. You look at the clue and figure out which word goes with the clue. Remember, as you use the words, cross them out so you don't look at them twice. Okay, if you have questions, you can email me. You can ask me on Remind. Ask your parents, whatever you need to do. If you want to send this to me on Seesaw, that would be great. All right, hope you all have a great day. Enjoy the weather if it's nice. If you're stuck inside, then find something fun to do. Bye, everybody. I miss you.